Kind of feels like we haven't done this in forever. It hasn't been that long, right?
It's been
just weeks.
Months.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire Saffitz. Welcome to my home kitchen. Today I'm preparing one half of a dish that is truly one of my favorite things to eat in the entire world. It is the hot dog. So I'm gonna be showing you how to make hot dog buns. We're gonna go outside, grill some hot dogs, and then we're gonna have lunch. And I'm so excited because hot dogs are truly one of my favorite things in the whole world. I don't really know why I love hot dogs, but my mom loves hot dogs, and my grandma loved hot dogs, so I think it's kind of hereditary. I love when like the casing is really snappy and they're like really hot inside, so they're like super juicy, and then the bun like contains everything. I kind of associate them with baseball games when I was a kid, like going to the ballpark and having a hot dog, so it's like good memories. It's just the perfect food. Meat wrapped in a bun. The bun is like super functional. The bun needs to contain everything. It needs to be like proportionate to the size of the hot dog. You don't want too much bread relative to the hot dog. And I think really a hot dog bun should be a relatively lean dough, so it's like not gonna overwhelm the hot dog itself. I'm making a only very lightly enriched like white bread dough basically. So this is really an all-purpose kind of like white bread dough. So you could make it into a sandwich loaf. It's really straightforward, and I use a stand mixer, and it's like such a fun recipe. I like making them because I know exactly what's in it. I feel like with a lot of store-bought shelf-stable bread products, it's like you don't really know what's in there. You don't know how long it's been sitting on the shelf. So I like being able to control this part. Let's not even get into what's in the hot dog. Whatever, it's fine.
That was 100% all beef.
Yeah, but the meat is 100% beef. Who knows what else? You know what I mean? Whatever. I would never want to be in a hot dog eating contest because you don't eat hot dogs. The hot dogs are swallowed whole and then the buns are dipped in water. So my hot dog is really straightforward. Mustard, I can go brown or yellow. It's kind of like the one time in my life where I eat yellow mustard because I like a lot of other types of mustard better. Sauerkraut, maybe some like really finely chopped raw onion, and that's it. That's beautiful. Today's really all about the dough for the hot dog bun, so I'm gonna talk to you about the ingredients first. I have bread flour. I divided it into 2 portions. I'll talk about why. I have a couple of eggs. 2 are gonna go in the dough. 1 is for egg wash. Some water, just a tablespoon of neutral oil, a little bit of sugar, some yeast. This is instant yeast. You could use active dry. I'll talk about that. Kosher salt, and then a little bit of milk. Oh, and butter. When I talk about an enriched dough, enriching means you're adding fat to dough, and dough typically is very lean, meaning like there is no fat. It's basically flour, salt, and water. So we're adding a little bit of richness with eggs and milk and a little bit of butter, but not enough to make it like this really like brioche rich thing. Just enough to give it like a little bit of body and flavor. You definitely want a stand mixer for this. I'm not saying you couldn't do it by hand, but it's just like overly labor intensive to do it by hand. So stand mixer with a hook is your friend. I have a saucepan because I'm going to cook a little bit of the dough. That's a special extra step. I'm going to talk about that. You'll need a kitchen scale for portioning. And then I have a couple little things like a bowl scraper and a ruler, which is actually really helpful. Before I get into the recipe, I want to thank our friends at King Arthur Baking Company in Vermont. King Arthur is America's oldest flour company. It's 100% employee owned, and all of the wheat flours are grown and milled in the United States. I love using King Arthur products because I know I'll get consistent results every single time, no matter what kind of flour I'm using. Today I'm using their bread flour, which is known for its high protein content, so you get really strong doughs that are able to rise really high, so you can get like really light doughs, but also really chewy ones. So I love using it in my home kitchen. If you want to learn more about King Arthur's products, you can go to the link in the description below. Thank you to King Arthur, and now we're gonna get back into the recipe. Okay, so for the first step, I'm gonna make this roux-like mixture. I'm gonna start with a 1/2 cup of milk and a 1/2 cup of water. So milk is one of those ingredients that can enrich dough because it has fat in it. It also has like a slight tenderizing effect. The purpose of this mixture is that it increases the ability of the dough to hold onto moistures. So any dough that has this type of mixture of like pre-cooked flour and some of the liquid makes a really, really soft dough because, no kitty, the purpose, oh, come on. The purpose of this roux-like mixture, this combination of flour and water and milk that's cooked on the stove, is that it increases the ability of the final dough to hold on to moisture. So it can have actually a much higher proportion of moisture than like a typical dough. And any dough that's made with this, because of that higher moisture content, turns really soft and pillowy. And I want a pillowy hot dog. Okay, so a half cup of milk, a half cup of water. Then I'm adding a portion of the flour. So this is 50 grams, about 6 tablespoons. I'm using bread flour. I want bread flour because I want that high protein content. That protein content corresponds to the amount of gluten that I'm going to be able to develop. I want that combination of strength from the gluten and softness from the high moisture content, and that's going to give me the texture that I want. So I'm just whisking this until the flour basically kind of like dissolves. So I have this smooth liquid, and now I'm going to go over to the stove. And what's going to happen is I'm going to cook this mixture. It's going to heat up. The flour is going to like release its starches and do this thing called pre-gelatinize. That is the key to the dough texture. And it's going to end up looking like smooth mashed potatoes. So it's going to thicken quite a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this over to the stove. I'm going to cook it on like medium-high heat. I'm going to whisk constantly so that I don't form big lumps. And it's going to go from liquid to this kind of like super thick, almost solid paste. Is that cat over there? No, kitty. Okay, so this is just gonna I'm gonna set this over medium-high heat, whisking constantly. And it's just gonna thicken to the point where it's gonna go from liquid to this like really thick paste. So here's my mixture. You can see that it's now this like white, thick, almost gelatinous paste. I want to get this out of the saucepan, so I have a bowl right here because I want it to cool down before I add it to my dough. All right, so this I'll set aside, and occasionally I can come over and stir it to help it cool down because we just don't want this to be warm when we add it to the dough. Because this is a dough that has a long, slow mix, it tends to heat up a little bit from just the repeated friction in the mixer. This should be room temp at a minimum. I'm going to start by combining my dry ingredients in the bowl of my stand mixer. I have my hook attachment. So the remaining flour is 490 grams, also bread flour, 10 grams of kosher salt. I have just a tablespoon of granulated sugar. Then I have instant yeast. You could use active dry and you would use it the same way. The only difference is if you use active dry, your rise times might take a little bit longer. But I like instant yeast because it's designed to be added directly to a dough. You don't have to proof it. I know this yeast is good. I made a batch of dough last night. I have an extra quarter cup of water, a tablespoon vegetable oil. Again, like I'm not enriching this dough to a really high degree. I do like a little bit of oil because it just keeps the dough kind of supple. And then I'm gonna add 2 of my 3 eggs. This is really important. Sometimes it can be confusing when you have a recipe with eggs, but one of them is for egg wash. These eggs are cold from the fridge. That's important because it is going to help to keep the temperature of the dough down during that long mix where it's going to want to get warm because of all the friction that it's building. Okay, and then this last egg I'm going to set aside because that's going to be egg wash. So I'm just going to pour in my wet ingredients and get this mixing on a really low speed, just like the first speed of the mixer. I think maybe after 5 or so minutes of mixing, this is what the dough looks like. It has come together. It's pulling away from the sides of the mixing bowl. It's a little tacky but not sticky, so it doesn't stick to my hand. So that's a great texture. That's what we're looking for. And now I'm going to continue mixing on that lowest speed, but I am going to start to add my butter. So it's just 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, cold from the fridge, and it's going to become like really supple and smooth and stretchy, and that's what we want, but this is going to take a while. Once I'm done adding the butter, every few minutes I'm going to stop the mixer and then use my bowl scraper to like scrape the dough off the hook and kind of turn it around and make sure that it's like getting well mixed all the way around. Okay, so after several minutes of mixing, the dough came back together, but it's not there yet. So I'm going to scrape everything down and scrape down the sides of the bowl. It's not really sticking, but there's just some like dough bits that are distributed around. It's soft and cohesive, and it actually has pretty good elasticity, but it's not really smooth yet. So this still has more mixing to go. And when I touch the dough, it's cool to the touch. So I know it's not getting too warm. Total mix time is probably somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes. The dough is done. I'm gonna take it out of the mixer. And the dough should be tacky, not sticky. So tacky is like it clings to your finger, but pulls away, so it doesn't leave anything on your finger. That's why it's always best to weigh all of your ingredients so you know exactly the proportion of flour to everything else. Okay, so here's our dough. It has such a nice texture. It's really soft, also has good structure to it. So as a sort of test to see about the development, you can pinch off, this is like what, like a ping pong ball size piece. And then I sort of flatten it. So there's degrees of window pane. This is like a moderate window pane where if you were to like stretch it really dramatically, it's gonna tear. But when you kind of do it gently, you get this kind of, you still get this thin film where light will pass through. Okay, so that is a sign that you have sufficiently mixed your dough. So essentially what you're doing is you are kind of stretching the dough over itself, kind of utilizing that network of gluten to create this shape. And you can really almost see the gluten strands, you know, these like stretchy strands, stretching over the dough, and that's what you want. So that looks really good. Letting this sit here for an hour and double in size and then forming the dough right away and baking it, you're still gonna get a really good result, but you will have improved flavor and texture if you let it go overnight in the fridge. You just cover it. I'm gonna pull out the swap, the one I made last night, and I'm gonna show you how to divide, portion, and form the buns. And then they rise again. Okay, no Felix. Okay, whatever, do your thing. Okay. So now I'm actually ready to move on to the next stage. Pretend like your dough went overnight. I have one that I made last night and has just been sitting in the fridge. I'm gonna bring it out and then show you how to portion and shape your buns. You can see it grew quite a bit in the fridge, even slightly more than doubled. Okay. And this is the fun part. This is why one of the reasons I love working with dough is because it's like so tactile and fun. You can kind of pat it down, mash it, and that is just gonna kind of, what they say, called degassing it. This recipe makes 12 hot dog buns, and each one weighs about 80 grams. So I'm gonna start to get the dough comfortable with the idea of being rolled out into like a nice smooth torpedo shape. You can see I have kind of like a smooth side, and then the side where I've like portioned and put other little bits of dough onto it. What I like to do is sort of flatten it, and this is gonna further degas it. Then you gather all the kind of irregular ends and you stretch them toward the center. So you have this little parcel that's like, sometimes they say it's like a dumpling or like a bulb of garlic. Then you're gonna take it and you're gonna put it pointed side down. So all of those seams are now on your surface, and you have that smooth, taut side facing up. And you're gonna just take your hand, cup it around the dough, and the dough is nice and cold still, so it's not sticky. And similar to that step I showed you where I was really like stretching the dough around itself before I let it rise the first time, you're gonna kind of move it across the surface and wrap it little circles until you have this nice, it looks like a little bun. If I don't let them rest, then the dough's gonna kind of fight me. I wanna spring back. So I'm just gonna cover these, and in like 10 minutes or so, I'll come back and I'll do that final shape. So after what's called a bench rest, about 10 minutes or so, I can now form my like pre-shaped balls into my hot dog buns. So I have a ruler here, which I like to use because it helps me make sure I'm doing them all the same. And so I'm gonna show you how to shape these into sort of like a 5.5-ish inch long kind of even torpedo shape. I'm gonna start with this piece, which was the first one that I pre-shaped, so it's been resting the longest. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna turn it upside down, so domed side onto the surface. I'm gonna smash it with my hand, kind of elongating it a little bit. I'm gonna take the top part of the dough and just start to sort of like, almost like roll it up into a log. So I'm kind of pressing down as I roll and sealing it. Then once I have it fully rolled up, see this seam right here? I wanna seal that seam. So I'm kind of using my fingers, like the flat part of my thumbs, to seal. And now I have a seam. So see that nice pinched closed seam right there? And now I have the beginning of my bun shape. So I'm gonna have that seam on the surface, and I'm just gonna roll it out. So the flat part of your palm, and I wanna roll it out into a nice even log shape. So this is where the ruler comes in. I'm at a little under 5.5 inches. So I'm gonna roll it a little more. And you don't really want tapered ends. So if your ends got really skinny, that means you were applying a lot of pressure on the outsides. You really just wanna more apply pressure at the center to get it even. So I'm gonna transfer this to my baking sheet. So I'm gonna do 2 rows of 6. So I wanna space them out evenly. I'm gonna flatten it a little bit because the dough is gonna wanna rise and kind of like dome a little bit. And I just don't want to have like a really tall hot dog bun. And then double checking the length. I'm at 5.5 inches, so that looks great. So here are my formed buns. I'm gonna cover these. I really have to find my sheet tray covers because they're way better than using plastic, but I don't know where they are. So I have some plastic here and I'm just gonna cover them loosely because these are going to expand quite a bit and you don't want them to get trapped. So these are going to at least double in size, but they're also gonna touch. So this is a great reason for using a half sheet tray because you know exactly the weight of each one, the length, the dimensions, and then when they're touching, that's your sign that they're done. So that's gonna take the better part of an hour, but we'll come back and check on them and I'll show you when they're proofed and then we'll bake. These have been proofing for about 1:15 hours, but I know that they're done because they have more than doubled in size and they're touching. I'm gonna uncover these. Remember, I have that one remaining egg. That's my egg wash. So there's a test, careful because the dough is delicate, but when you poke the dough, it should spring back and just leave like a very slight indentation. So my oven is preheated to 400 degrees. I'm just gonna take that one remaining egg and I'm gonna beat it. That's gonna be my egg wash. Just want like a thin coating so I have some shine and browning. And remember to try to be delicate because they're pretty puffy and you don't want to like pop any air bubbles. I have a favorite, it's that one, just because it looks the most even. So these can go into my oven now. It's preheated to 400, so they bake pretty hot because I want like good rise and good browning, but they bake pretty quickly. It's only going to take about 20 minutes. And make sure your rack is in the center. After 15 minutes, they kind of baked faster than I thought they would. They're done. I can smell them. They're really golden brown. They look great. I'm gonna pull them. Whoa. Oh my goodness, they're so beautiful. They really smell incredibly delicious. So these look great, perfect for our hot dogs, and I just wanna let them cool. I'm gonna grab all the toppings for delicious hot dogs, and then we are going to light some charcoal and get on the grill. I would say I'm still adjusting to the learning curve on a charcoal grill, but I know how to light a chimney, so I'm gonna do that. What are these called? The charcoal going. Just gonna light this. It's a little windy. Chimney's lit. It'll take 20-25 minutes or so. Where do I put this? It's so hot. Oh, we'll talk about condiments. I love condiments. I have a passion for condiments. Let's just make sure it's hot. I'm gonna put the lid on just to get everything settled. I have ketchup out here for the ketchup lovers. 2 kinds of mustard, because maybe I'll go a little bit of both. Brown and yellow, some hot sauce, that was not my request. Some sweet relish, and some sauerkraut, which is like one of my favorite things to eat. I love it so much. And some raw diced red onion. Hot dogs, I got 10 of them. These are all beef frankfurters. I'm gonna start to split my hot dog buns. They look so good. They are like so classic looking. One thing that makes me know that they were proofed properly is I don't have any splitting, like tearing of the dough during baking along the sides, like where the bottom meets the side. They're the tiniest bit warm still. They have a tiny bit of puckering or wrinkling along the edges, and that's how you know that the proof was really great, because they like lost a little bit of volume during cooling. I'm gonna tear them apart in the center, and we get that nice pull apart effect. Oh my gosh, looks so good, right? And this is what you get from that roux mixture that we added, is that like really soft, pillowy pull apart texture. See that? Oh, it looks so good. Smell amazing. Okay, so I have a little serrated knife. So light, like when you hold it, it's so light for its size. It like weighs basically nothing. All right, so can you see that interior? I don't want to pull it apart all the way. See how nice and like even and light that crumb is? It's not tight, so we know that it proofed properly. It smells so good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, right, let's get the hot dogs on the grill. So there's like no sizzle. No, there's a little sizzle. This side's hotter. Should I cover it? There's nothing happening. Yeah. This is kind of a lot to like light a whole chimney to cook 5 hot dogs, but we'll cook more. Ooh, they look good. They look good. Ooh, I'm gonna move this one cooler. That one's actually splitting a little bit. Move that one over. Get these guys going. All right. All right, you guys are gonna have to put those cameras down and dress your hot dogs. Wait, look at how cute these proportions are of the hot dog. It looks like an emoji hot dog. It's so cute, I love it. These are really big hot dogs. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Look at how cute these are. Gosh, oh my God, it looks so good. What a perfect food. It looks the way I want every hot dog I eat to look. I'm gonna go a little sauerkraut first, and I like to tuck it in so that any juices can be absorbed by the bun. Over the sauerkraut, I like my raw onion. Okay, and then I think I'm gonna go brown mustard, even though I talked about how much I like yellow mustard on a hot dog. Maybe I'll do both. Hello. I do love mustard. Mustard gives it the acid that it needs. Oh, it looks so good. So excited. Well, if you guys tell me how you like yours, I'll make yours. I'm so hungry, I really want to eat this. Can I eat it? All right, so I put it down so that my hot dog is on the end, closest to me, so I can eat it. I'm so excited. What else is there left to say? This is my hot dog. I think the proportions are perfect. I got 2 kinds of mustard. I got all of my favorite things on it. I'm gonna eat it. Oh, Harris, there's some time. Yeah, your hot dog's ready.
Oh, good.
Here, can I hand you yours?
Yeah. What's on mine?
Like what you said. Well, hold on. Did you say anything besides double mustard, little ketchup?
And I'll try the onions.
Oh, now you want to try the onions.
Claire, this looks really good.
Doesn't it look good? The proportions, it's like emoji hot dog.
No hot sauce, no hot sauce.
Yeah, who wants hot sauce? No offense, Cal. Is it a good hot dog? Snappy?
Mmm.
It's
really good.
You need good snap.
You know, it's so cool to be able to like eat the bread and know that the bread's like good.
Yeah, totally. I don't trust the buns that have been sitting for weeks on the shelf, you know?
This is one of the best hot dogs I've ever had.
Oh, can I eat mine? I'm so hungry.
What are you asking me for?
I got my bun. I got my hot dog. I got crisp casing. I got sauerkraut. I got raw red onion. I got 2 kinds of mustard. Please, can I eat this? Okay. Mmm. Mmm. Mmm.
Hold it for whatever the hell that is.
Mmm.
Sounds like war in the background.
Mmm. It's so salty in a good way. Mmm. It's so good. I love how all the condiments like cut through, the richness, the bun. It's not too soft, but it's still pillowy. And it's just like cradling the hot dog. And it's not a vehicle for the hot dog. It is part of the dish. It is very important. It needs to like hold up to everything else, not only in structure, but in flavor as well. And it doesn't overwhelm the hot dog with that little bit of richness that we added, but it's seriously so good. This is delicious. And a really good hot dog also.
Tell the people back home, make your own buns.
If you're grilling this summer, go with hot dogs. They're already cooked. All you have to do is like heat them up, get the casing a little crisp, get some grill marks on them. It's so easy, so why not take the extra step to make the buns, which is such an enormous upgrade to a hot dog, rather than like the supermarket bun, which has been sitting, you know, on the shelves in the aisle for like weeks at least, who knows. It will elevate your summer grilling so much. They are insanely delicious. And by the way, you could use the same recipe and make hamburger buns and basically do the exact same thing. Or lobster rolls. What a great idea. I'm so happy right now because it's so delicious. So I'm gonna sit over here and eat the rest of my hot dog. But first I wanna say thanks for watching, and also thanks to our sponsor, King Arthur Flour, for sponsoring the episode. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Yellow mustard. So good. I have it all over my face.
No, not at all. Probably better with
I didn't bring napkins out. Oops.
better with ketchup.
No. But eat your hot dogs. So good. Delicious. What a great food.